but I've been informed that members have been reporting me. So I'm not going to be able to go in the way that I wanted to go in. I really wanted to expose the hypocrisy of people who have more energy for a conversation on who's the greatest rapper than they do for protecting black people from the police. I really wanted to deal with the hypocrisy of these Caucasians who have so much negative energy for being told they have no business exploiting black culture. But we don't see that same energy for giving black people reparations. We don't see that same energy for justice for black people. We don't see that same energy with making sure African people get their share of a country ancestors built with their hands. See, if they cared as much about police brutality as they care about Eminem being called the GOAT, if they cared as much about police brutality against black people as they care about Eminem being called the GOAT, if they cared as much about mass incarceration reform as they cared about Eminem being called the GOAT, if they cared as much for black women being sexually trafficked as they care about Eminem being called the GOAT, we would have solved a lot of our problems by now. Calling somebody racist when your people are the greatest purveyors of racism and genocide in the history of humanity. Calling someone racist when your people are the greatest purveyors of racism and genocide in the history of humanity, I find it quite hypocritical. I find it quite hypocritical. Brothers and sisters, I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, 13th annual Kwanzaa tour, and it'll probably be the last because next Kwanzaa will be at FDMG. This is probably my 13th and final Kwanzaa tour because next Kwanzaa will be at FDMG. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Let's take some questions for FDMG. If you have a question for me, make a donation of $5 or more to cash.me/$FDMG School. If you have a question you want me to answer, text your question in your Cash App donation. Text your question in your Cash App donation, $FDMG School, or get on your PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. paypal.me/FDMG Academy. You can ask your question in your PayPal donation. You can ask your question on your Cash App donation. $FDMG School Cash App. $FDMG School Cash App. Let me see if I have a Cash App question. Let me see if I have a Cash App question. $FDMG School. You can ask your question when you make your Cash App donation of $5 or more. How would you pay for a question when Google is free? Because number one, I'm not Google, and number two, I'm sending you to the Snow Bunny block party. Brothers and sisters, they have invaded my box, posting all over my timeline, upset because their Caucasian privilege has been disturbed. Upset because your Caucasian privilege has been disturbed. Upset because your Caucasian privilege has been disturbed. You think you have a right to invade black people's space. You think you have a right to invade black people's space. You think we don't have a right to tell you you're not welcome, when you always tell us we're not welcome. Did you forget we had to fight for our children to go to decent schools because y'all kept us out? Did you forget we had to fight in order to work in the armed forces because y'all kept us out? Did you forget we had to fight to live in the suburbs because y'all kept us out? We had to fight to take public transportation because y'all kept us out. We had to fight to go to the supermarket or the movie theater or to go swimming in a pool because y'all kept us out. And you mean to tell me because I said No non-African has any business being considered the greatest of all time in any aspect of our cultural expression. Now you got an attitude. So if I'm a racist for saying that, which I cannot be, because racism implies the ability to disenfranchise another group of people. I don't have that ability. See, y'all love to call black people racist because it's a distraction away from your racism. Y'all love to call us racist because it's a distraction from who the real racists are. We never hung nobody from no trees. We never created diseases to get rid of nobody. We never intentionally miseducated your children. But you call us racist because you have this thing where you have to always play victim. You have to always play the victim so nobody realizes you're the perpetrator. You have to always play victim so nobody realizes you're the perpetrator. You have to always play victim so nobody realizes that you're actually the perpetrator. I see how this game go. I'm a racist because I said Eminem has no business being called a goat. But when your grandparents, and even today, when you discriminate against black folks, when you redline us into ghettos, and when you redline us from bank loans, and when you keep us out of jobs and give them to white folks who are lesser qualified, are you not a racist? A bunch of damn hypocrites. A bunch of damn hypocrites. A bunch of damn hypocrites. If y'all had this energy for police brutality, why isn't the George Floyd police reform bill, why hasn't that been put into legislation yet? Why hasn't the George Floyd police reform bill been signed into law yet? So-called liberal Caucasians, where is the George Floyd police reform bill? But y'all up here crying crocodile tears for Eminem. You're up here crying crocodile tears for Eminem. Where is the George Floyd police reform bill at? But y'all want to flood my inbox. Arrogance, narcissism, terrorism. When I think of you, I think of arrogance. I think of narcissism. I think of terrorism. I think of arrogance. You think you got a right to do whatever you want. I think of narcissism. You think you God's gift to the world. And I think of terrorism. Anybody who doesn't do what you want them to do, you think you can terrorize them. White privilege. White privilege. White privilege. Brothers and sisters, I'm feeling marvelous tonight in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm feeling marvelous tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing all my Fort Worth Africans tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing my Phoenix family. I ain't seen my Phoenix family in damn near 10 years. Can't wait to see my Detroit Africans on Saturday. Can't wait to see my Jamaican Africans at the Maroon Festival on January the 6th. I can't wait to see my Sacramento Africans on Thursday, January the 18th. I can't wait to see my Antioch, California Africans on Friday, January the 19th. I can't wait to see my Oakland, California Africans on Saturday, January the 20th. Trying to use white privilege and bully tactics to force your narrative. Y'all been doing that for 500 years. You're not tired yet. Y'all been using y'all white privilege to bully people into adopting your narrative for 500 years. Y'all not tired yet? Y'all been using bully tactics to force your narrative on black people for 500 years. Y'all not done yet? I'm a racist because I said black people need to protect our cultural spaces. Always calling somebody a racist whenever they don't agree with you. Always calling somebody a racist whenever your white privilege doesn't give you access to control the narrative. Always calling somebody racist whenever your white privilege doesn't give you access to control the narrative. And you think I give a damn about you flooding my inbox? You really think I care about what you think about me? Have you lost your mind? Do you not know what unapologetically African means? Do you not know what unapologetically African means? You are the reincarnation of the slave master. That's what you are. You are the reincarnation of the slave master, trying to play victim. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. You got your panties in a bunch because I won't let Eminem be the white Jesus of black music. You got your panties in a bunch because I won't let Mr. Marshall Mathers be crowned white Jesus of the hip hop industry. Like y'all crowned Elvis Presley. Y'all artificially crowned Elvis Presley as the white Jesus of rock and roll when all he did was plagiarize, copy, and steal from Little Richard, Chuck Berry, and others. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Y'all want a white face in front of everything. And whenever you don't get it, you have a temper tantrum. And you Negroes who standing in solidarity against your culture with the Caucasians, y'all need to be whipped. You soft beta male Negro-pean coons, y'all need to be whipped. Y'all need to be horse whipped. Always going out of your way to defend your oppressor. Y'all need to be horse whipped, every last one of you. Is that another Negro-pean? You have a nice day. Since y'all so liberal, right? Since y'all so liberal, we about what, 15% of the population allegedly? I think it's much higher than that. But you say with 15% of the American population, since you're so liberal, why don't you give us 15% of the banks, 15% of the supermarkets, 15% of the schools, 15% of the wealth, 15% of the natural resources? I mean, since we so liberal now, since everybody wants to be so liberal now, give us our 15% of everything in the country. This is not reparations. This is equity. Don't confuse equity with reparations. We're talking about constitutional equity here. We're talking about equity. We are not dealing with reparations. We're dealing with equity. Since we're 15%, there goes another pale face. All on my feet. I have never went to a Caucasian live and tried to get on and post anything. All in my inbox because y'all don't like the fact I said no white person can be king of black art. After all you have stolen from us, after all you have appropriated from us, why do you have a problem with me saying no Caucasian should be king of African art? Why should, after all you have stolen, after all the stealing y'all do, right, after all the killing y'all do, After all the injustice y'all inflict on African people, why do you have a problem with me saying y'all have no business being called the greatest of anything? Fort Worth, Texas, I'm in the building. Fort Worth, Texas, I'm in the building. Now, I'm not going to spend no more time on the Neanderthal nation. I have zero patience for the Snow Bunny Brigade. I want to talk to my black queens tonight. So this is a full moon in Cancer. Where my beautiful African queens at? Where my natural hair queens at? Where are my sisters with natural hair? Where are my sisters with natural hair at? If you a black woman with no weave, no perm, and no European color in your hair, make some noise. If you a black woman with no weave, no perm, no European hair color in your hair, make some noise. If you a black woman with no weave, no perm, no European hair color in your hair, make some noise. We must not only be unapologetically African, we must also be authentically African. We must be originally African. We must be organically African. Black women, I'm talking to my sisters, all Neanderthals, can you please exit the live? I'm now having a private conversation with the queens of the African race. Continental African queens, Caribbean African queens, British African queens, French African queens, German African queens, Austrian African queens, Canadian African queens, South American African queens, Central American African queens, my Fort Worth, Texas African queens, my Houston, Texas African queens, my Arlington, Texas African queens, my Dallas, Texas African queens, my Phoenix, Arizona African queens, my Tucson, Arizona African queens, my Detroit, Michigan African queens. I'm having a private conversation. All colonizers, genociders, exploiters, imitators, thieves, please exit the chat. All pasty-ass pilgrims, please exit the chat. The mayonnaise session has ended. The mayonnaise session has ended. Exit the damn chat. African sisters,